And we're live here on YouTube. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. So it's kind of cold. It has been cold outside the past couple of days um, here in the Quad Cities. So um, yeah, so just been thankful that work is kind of slowing down. So more time in the office, but also just getting to maybe embrace some special project time instead of
Yeah,
mundane normal tasks.
yeah. Um, and everything else is going good.
Yeah, everything else is going good. So
Good.
family's in town for a little bit this weekend. So looking forward to that later on this afternoon.
From the south or from the north?
The South.
Okay. Not your brother.
No,
Okay.
not my brother. So
Okay.
Mike, how are you? You had the community breakfast today, which is kind of why we're maybe a
Yeah,
little bit delayed than what we normally are.
and we're right about on time. Normally we start about 10 o'clock, but that's all right. No, it's been good. We've I mean, the work week's been a little crazy. We had an extra day on Thursday, have another extra day on next Thursday, and then Monday, and then I'm essentially done for late nights, but I will have plenty of vacation time coming up because looking forward to Christmas break this year.
Yeah, me as well. I just realized when talking to you, I don't have any full weeks at all this month.
Wow.
With the way I'm using some vacation time and just how the company handles shutdown days in between around the Christmas time.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So we got a lot of things to talk about, but
Mostly
they're
football.
they all are centered around football, as neither of us are really big hockey or NBA fans.
Yeah.
So we'll be giving you maybe a little bit more in power rankings than we normally give on a weekly basis, as well as continuing our Mount Rushmore series. Well, we'll be looking at tight ends this week, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. But all that and more. But what do we got to do first?
We got to go ahead and roll the intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.
And we're back with that, Rich. We got a poll question to talk about. This week's poll question was bird watching versus sledding and tubing. Where did you fall on this category, Rich?
Mike, I went with bird watching.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, I enjoy it.
Yeah, but, I mean, I realized that. I mean, I probably do it more than I realize it.
Oh, yeah.
Noticing the birds out on the deck and maybe needing to get that with my age and everything, needing to maybe get that bird feeders, start the bird feeders and just have something more.
Yeah.
More to watch. I think with the sledding and tubing, you really can't do that unless it's cold outside and you've had the snowfall and being out in the cold. Not one of my favorite things to be doing. So.
Yeah. So, a bunch of 40-somethings. We all voted for bird watching, as it's me, Matt Johnson, and you. So us 40-somethings apparently like to watch the birds now. Sled riding and tubing, an old guy, Ron Lehman, and a slightly younger guy, Josh Hendricks, voted for sledding and tubing. So, bird watching moves on. Sledding and tubing, as much fun as it is, not a great thing. Or not winning this week. So, next week, Rich, today, what's that poll question going to be?
Yeah. Today we're going to go with picnics, our wild card winner and Farmers Markets. So I've already got the full schedule. It's going to go live at 11 o'clock. 11
Nice.
o'clock today.
Let's do it. Okay. With that, Rich, let's we'll start with some football news.
Week
Yeah.
13, with our Week 13 recap. Mike, locks of the week. Mike, you went with the Bills over the Steelers. The Bills ended up winning in dominating fashion, 26-7 over the Bills, improving you to 10-3. My pick of the Rams over the Panthers did not work out, as the Panthers pulled off an upset in a late game upset. Come from behind victory, winning 38-21 over those Rams, dropping me to 10-3. Mike,
Rich,
where'd the
on upset
go?
specials of the week, I picked the Texans over the Colts. The Texans pulled it off 20-16, bringing me up to 6-7 on the year. 6-7. Sorry, I had to. Rich, you picked the Cardinals over the Bucks. Back to your form. That did not come through, as the Bucks won 20-17, dropping you to 2-11.
Yeah, upsets were hard to come by last week with four less games to choose from, with Thanksgiving and the Black Friday game involved.
And
it was a close game.
Technically, almost all but one of the Thursday and Good Friday games all were upset wins. So, again, I'm not saying that, like, numbers would argue that you can't have more upsets than normal on any given week, but on average, Vegas knows what they're talking about when it comes to upsets and whatnot. So they're pretty good, which is why the pick distribution tends to be pretty good in one way or another. So I'm not surprised, but that there was only like one upset, maybe two upsets on the Sunday games. So
yeah, upsets that did come through on last week's schedule, though, that might have surprised us. The Jets upsetting the Falcons, but it being a close game, and as well as the Panthers-Rams games, which I thought would be a lock of the week. So
yeah, I would. So the Jets and Falcons, that game is like, to call that an upset to me feels disingenuous, because that one's like, to me, is a pick'em, and was a pick'em. And so for me, it would be hard to call it an upset, but just because I thought it was more of a pick'em than it was a upset. But that's just me.
All right, finally, Week 14, Thursday Night Football, Cowboys-Lions. The Lions won 44-30, a get-right game, as you called it, Mike. So Detroit gets the win over the Cowboys. So, Mike, you're up to 8-10 for the midweek games. I'm the opposite at 10-8.
Yep. So, Rich, with that, let's go to Week 14. Bears play the Packers. I got this as a Bears win.
Yeah, I was going back and forth on this one, but I'm going to go with the game being in Green Bay. I think both teams are kind of coming in on a good winning streak. So I'm going to go with home field advantage on this one, which was my reasoning when we made our preseason picks for the Bears schedule. And although I really want to see the Bears win this game, I really do.
There is only
the late game magic continues for the Bears. There
is only one reason why I don't know that I would not be as upset as I normally am if they win, and we'll explain that one at the end of the show.
But yeah, a lot on the line in this game, other than it just being a rivalry game, is that
first place is on the line.
First place is on the line, and the Bears could easily go from being the number one overall seed in the conference all the way down to 7th.
Oh yeah,
depending on the outcome of this game. So playoff seeding is on the line too, not just divisional seeding. All right, lock of the week being an even week. It's my week to go first, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Falcons. So,
I like that one.
Yeah. Seahawks are playing good football right now. Falcons, not so much. Having lost to the Jets.
Yep.
Even though a close game, they're still not. They're just going in the wrong direction.
I'm going to pick a divisional game. I normally don't, but the Aints are so bad right now. I don't know that it's that big of it would be a doable upset. So I'm going to pick the Bucks over the Aints.
Okay, I like that too. So, I mean, the Buccaneers need it to kind of get back on track and keep their hold on the division. To not let the upstart Panthers take that division away from them. Upset special, Mike. I'm going to go with two contending teams that are playing on Monday night, and I'm going to go with the Bolts over the Eagles. So I think the Eagles are having problems maybe moving the ball and putting points on the board a little bit. Ooh. And the Chargers play good defense, and they get their best running back, Omarion Hampton, coming back from the IR this week.
Okay. I'm going to pick a team that I think is becoming more underrated, even though their record and play has been they're aptly rated. But I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Commanders. The Vikings have the ability to be a good team. They just need to show up. If they show up this week, I think they win.
Gotcha. Thursday night football, Mike.
Falcons versus Bucks.
Falcons, Bucks.
Again, a divisional game. Bucks need to keep winning because they're trying to, like you said, they want to beat the Panthers out for the division, and so I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Bucks.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers as well. The Falcons, they have those tools on offense. They have the players. They're just not being able to put it all together and get it. So I guess if anything, with who they thought their franchise quarterback was in Michael Penix going injured, this has been at least the decision to keep paying Kirk Cousins and keeping him in the building has really paid off for him.
Yeah.
But they're still not winning games.
Nope. Okay. With that, Rich, let's move on to active players on your Mount Rushmore list. Now, this is a whole career Mount Rushmore. This is not who's the best this year. That might be a discussion we have at a later time, but for this moment, we are talking about career overall and who's the best. I think my number one face on there is not obvious. Obvious that they should be on there, but not obvious that they are number one.
Okay. So we are doing tight ends this week.
Yep.
Tight ends. So I think we're going to have the similar names, but it's going to come down to maybe their position on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit different. So
yeah.
Like, who's that first name for you?
For me, it's Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, okay.
Mark Andrews. He's a guy who kind of flew under the radar overall with his career. The other names had bigger years, but none of them had as big of an impact on their team, in my opinion, as Mark Andrews.
Okay. I have Mark Andrews on the Mount Rushmore list as well because he does mean a lot more to their team's offense, but I'm going to have to go with the guy that not only means a lot to their offense, but puts up the offensive numbers.
Okay.
And go Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is a flashy pick, but I don't think he's the right pick for your first one. But my number two would be Travis Kelce.
Okay. And I have Andrews as that number two guy career-wise.
Okay.
Because for a long time, both of those guys were probably
right, and
the number one receiving option in their offenses.
And that's kind of for me why Mark Andrews gets that number one spot. He's the number one in the offense. He never had a flashy year. He was never the best in any given year. But show me a year that he wasn't top three so far. I think he's been top three and no worse than top five in any given year. Whereas some of these guys, especially two of the last two on my list, have a huge drop-off. But Kelce, also someone who, he's right at that spot right now where depending on how this year goes, could be his last year. He could retire. I think what I think happens is if they win the Super Bowl, he gets married this year. Crazy thought, but what if him and his wife then decide to say, bye everybody, we're out, and just dips out forever? They go buy an island and they just live on the island, just the two of them. And family can come over and they can do that and whatnot. But like, we're done. We've had our 15 minutes of fame. We're gonna go hide out on this island so we don't have to deal with anybody. Yeah, there'll be a recording studio so Tay-Tay can put out an album when she's bored, but for the most part, it's just like they're gonna go and hide away and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I don't know about the hideaway part, but I could see it being Kelsey's last year, just so kind of like with what Rob Gronkowski did, just wanting to retire while his body is somewhat still functional and not torn down.
Yeah. So, but Kelsey, again, a name that transcends transcends sports. Now, it might be the relationship he's in, but does that matter? You ask anybody in the U.S., I would say 95% of them know who Travis Kelce is. They may say, oh, you mean Taylor Swift's fiance? Okay, that's fine. They may say the Kansas City Chief, and that's fine too. But he, biggest name in football last year, and again, I don't even think it's arguable there. So, my number 3 spot, I got to give it to Zach Ertz.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead, Mike.
I go ahead. I'm letting you go first. I'll let you give your explanation and your conversation on it.
So I think once again I kind of went with the offensive production wise and what they mean to the team. So, and I would go George Kittle. So the 49ers offense kind of goes as he goes, and when he's involved and he's healthy, that's their offense has been great. And when they're getting him the ball, when they're the ones getting him the ball, that's when they've had great years. When he's been injured, the record in their offense production isn't great. So,
yeah,
Zach Ertz is still on my list.
I think Kittle has had more injury issues than Zach Ertz. And so that's why I got to pick Kittle. Again, I think they both have some injury problems, but I think Kittle's been out a little bit more than Ertz overall. So that's why I pick him. But again, I think Kittle's right up there too, and that would be my number 4. And in all honesty, I think these two are falling off significantly more than the other. Like I said, I think Mark Andrews is always one of those guys that you can count on, and he will drop off at some point, but he hasn't shown signs of it a ton. He looks like he's still there being the guy that bails him out at times. So, but yeah, Ertz and Kittle, and Kittle, to me, Kittle is holding on. Kittle's that one guy that if any of these new guys last more than 5 years, probably Kittle's the one that gets that. They get Kittle's spot. But again, by then, Kelsey's probably retired. I would guess Ertz and I think all of these guys are pretty close to retirement though, and that's the hard part on this.
Yeah. Well, Kittle, I think Andrews just signed a 3-year contract, but he could transition to being the guy that he could try to being a 1A or a 1B on the tight end depth chart, and he transitions to be the short yardage, more on the blocking side, and being the short yardage guy that's an outlet valve instead of the guy going downfield and being a focal point of your offense.
Yep.
Which is where I think Ertz is, where Ertz was on a lot of any of this team, the guy that was blocking and the guy that you threw to in short yardage situations, or was the end zone target on short situations.
Yeah,
rather being a defensive stretcher and getting a lot of yards after the catch, which is where you see Kittle and Kelsey being.
Yep. So, who's your honorable mentions on this in this particular thing?
I think an honorable mention, the one guy I almost thought about it, was T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Being in, but injuries have kind of derailed him and playing on bad teams. He played on a lot of bad Detroit teams.
Yeah. So that was actually the one I was thinking too. So I have one. I don't think he quite has the longevity, but I think that I think he at least deserves to be in the conversation. And I think that has to be. What about Cole Kmet?
I think we get Cole Kmet in the conversation being both being Bears fans.
Okay.
I think if we didn't follow the Bears and watch them on a consistent basis, maybe not every week, but every consistent, but we might not think of Cole Kmet as one of those guys. But I know for sure we've definitely had conversations in the past around like fantasy tight ends. Like, all right, what about Cole Kmet? Because I think, oh man, what could he be if the Bears decided to feature a tight end predominantly in their offense?
The hard part.
That's always been his conversation. That's always been kind of the hard part of where he ranks.
Where he ranks and where he fits in. And now that they have Loveland, he's essentially the number 2 guy when it comes to tight ends. The other hard part is he only has 3 years. And I think the big thing with Mount Rushmore, and this is why I said the longevity is the reason that keeps him off of it, is that tight ends, for them to truly be in, they need to be 10 to 15-year tight ends. Tight ends don't get the focus unless you're Kelsey or Kittle. They don't get the focus as much as we give wide receivers or running backs or quarterbacks especially. So, yeah. I love tight ends. Tight ends probably the position that, again, I would want to play. I am not. I'm built like a lineman or a linebacker, not a tight end. But that would be the position I would want to play. Have you ever thought about what position would you like if you, like everybody says, oh, quarterback, and I think quarterback's all right, but give me tight end. I get to hit people and I get to catch and get touchdowns and stuff like that. Give it to me.
Yeah, that's tough. I think maybe a safety because of all the position, because of all the kind of responsibilities that you have. Sometimes you get the blitz. Sometimes you're covering that tight end. Or you're the secondary man on coverage. On maybe those big return on those
you're
top flight receivers or anything.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think if I was going to do defense, it'd be out. I mean, I'm a Chicago fan, so I want to be an outside linebacker, right? Like, that's the position that Chicago is known for years. But on offense, I got to go with tight end. I don't want to be a wide receiver. Those guys they run way more, and they don't get to hit people as much. So, kind of my shtick there. Okay, with that, Rich, you ready to get into power rankings?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're going to start with the top 10 or the bottom 5 this week, Mike.
Let's go top 10.
All right, top 10. My top 10 hasn't really changed, as my number 1 is still New England.
Nope. New England's number 2. Number 1 is Denver.
Okay, I have Denver at number 2.
Okay.
I realized that in looking through my own rankings, why I was saying, oh, they're 8-6, or they've only got 8 wins, or they've only got 9 wins, is because I forgot a week. I forgot to give them a win because I think they played on a Monday night, and I forgot to update the spreadsheet. So yeah, that's 10-2.
Yep.
Who do you think would? I mean, this could be obviously if there was a head-to-head matchup here, that would be the deciding factor for me. But I'm just going off of what the record is. So maybe if their record is for the same, I might flip it. But I think right now I got to go with the Patriots over the Broncos.
And I get that. So I am at number 3. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, Mike, we're both close. As I have the Niners at 4, but I put the Rams here at number 3.
Nope. I got the Rams a little bit lower. We'll get there in a second. So, who do you have? You already said that you have the Niners at 4. At number 4, I have the Chicago Bears.
Okay. We're close on the Bears. I put the Seahawks here at 5.
Okay.
It's odd to me to have 3, 4, 5 all be from the same division, but that West division is really stacked. And I mean, the Seahawks have losses against the Rams and the 49ers, which is why I had to have them higher on it. And
yeah, I mean they're all.
The reason why I have the Rams over the Niners is because they've split. They've split their season series.
Yeah. So then you go to the other games in the division, and the Niners are slightly higher than the Rams are slightly higher than the Niners. Yeah, I get that. I mean, we're not that far off. I have 5 and 6 are the Rams and the Seahawks.
Okay, and 6 is where I put the Bears right now.
So for me, no, but the Bears beating the Eagles catapulted them for me into the top 5. I wanted to say it last week because I was ready to, but I didn't, because last week's rankings were based before last Friday. So okay, so we're at 6. Number 7, Rich, what do you got?
7 is where I put the Buffalo Bills. I want to have them higher, but their record doesn't warrant them being up higher.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. I have them at 7. I don't know that they deserve that number 7 spot over the 8 and 9 teams, but it's where I ended up putting them.
I kind of think they do, because my number 8 team is the Colts, a team that's kind of going in the wrong direction. Is I think if people kind of figured out how to stop them and how to contain that offense.
And recency bias is why I did it, and I 100% I think it's recency bias about the Colts. But they're not at 9 for me, or at 8 for me. At number 8 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, they lost to a really good Bears team. Mm-hmm. The problem is they might not win their division.
I think they'll get the division.
I think they will, but if the Cowboys can bring back the momentum that they had before the Lions game. Again, this is pre-Tuesday or pre-Thursday, so the numbers would say the Eagles could still lose the division, which is why I have them at 8 and not any higher. But at number 9 is where I have
9 is where I put. Yeah, 9's where I put the Eagles. Who'd you have at 9?
I have the Colts.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had the Colts there. Again, recency bias. They're losing, and they're losing to teams that they probably shouldn't. That's the other hard part. So that's where I have them. At number 10 of the Green Bay Packers.
Okay. This is where I have the Packers as well, and I was expecting you to have them a little bit lower because of holding that tie against them.
I hold the tie against them, but 10 is where I have them. 10 is where I have the Packers as well, and I was expecting you to have them a little bit lower because of holding that tie against them. I hold the tie against them, but 10 is where I have them. 10 is where I have the Packers as well, and I was expecting you to have them a little bit lower because of holding that tie against them. I hold the tie against them, but they've won against good teams, and they beat my number 11 team, which is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's where I had the Lions as well.
Like, I couldn't put the Lions above them. A, record-wise, but B, even more importantly to me right now, is that the Lions, they lost the game. It's still a great game, but they still lost to the Packers.
Look at it. The Packers swept that interdivision, that head-to-head matchup, both of them.
Yeah.
They've gotten both of them, so.
So if the Bears win, then they don't sweep the division. At number 12, I have the Chargers.
Yep.
13, I have the Jags.
Yeah. Wow. We're agreeing a lot more than I thought. Where the Buccaneers is what I have at number 14.
Me too. Number 15.
Not a firm 14.
Who do you have at 15, Rich?
15 is where I put the Chiefs.
Wow, me too.
I know there's teams with better records, but you got to kind of go with more of a what you think they can be and what they're playing up to be, because they're just losing close games this year.
The hard part for them right now is that if they don't do something, they're going to have a hard time even making the playoffs at this point. So they gotta do some winning to guarantee that playoff spot. But I think they should, and they have the capability. Number 16, I have, again, I think almost identical team to me. Right now, these two teams are nearly identical. As I have the Chiefs and the Ravens at 16. I think these two teams are not playing up to their potential, and got to start doing something, because they both might drop more. If they lose one more game, I think they both drop easily below the two teams below them.
Yeah, I mean, the case with the Ravens is at least they have a clearer path to the playoffs. Right now, the Chiefs are hoping for a wild card with how well the Chargers and the Broncos are doing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more variables that the Chiefs gotta hope go right for them to make the playoffs as a wild card team, as opposed to the Ravens, who could look at picking off teams because they're tied for their division right now with the Steelers. So you have players that there's a clear path to playoffs for them, even at a 6-6 record.
Yeah. So, at number 17, Rich, who you got?
I put the Houston Texans here, a team that we thought would win their division, but they're winning some football games. They're winning the football games. They're doing what we thought that they should be doing.
And I actually am gonna say I think your ranking is better than mine. Is actually more accurate on this one in particular. I should have put them at least one higher, because they did beat the Colts, which is a big deal. But I have them a little bit lower. At 17 is where I have the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and I put the Panthers at number 18.
That's where I put the Texans, but I think I'm convinced you're more accurate than I am on this one. At 19, just because I don't want it. I was trying to find a way to make them lower in the rankings than they actually are. That's the Cowboys for me.
Yep, I have the Cowboys at 19 as well, and wrapping up a top 20. The last 500 team, the Steelers.
Yeah, I actually don't have them at in the top 20 at all, as my 20th team is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Joe Burrow coming back and making a difference on that team, and they still actually have a pretty clear path to winning the division if they wanted to.
Yeah, but I have the Bengals at 21.
Okay. So I actually have the Dolphins at 21 and then the Steelers at 22.
Okay. So we're not that far off. I have the Dolphins at 22.
Okay. I mean, at this point, we might as well. We only have 4 extra slots if we want to cover this over. If we want to go all the way through it, we have time. So
might as well. Number 23 is where I have the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I have them a little lower than that. That quarterback position, I don't know on that. But what were you saying?
No, I mean, I think they're a team that we both thought would do well this year. There wouldn't be as big of a drop-off going with a rookie quarterback. I mean, but maybe McCarthy didn't get the type of coaching that maybe we thought he got.
Yeah.
Being kind of like a redshirt year, because you had the track record, you have the coach's tracking record of just resurrecting quarterbacks out of nowhere. Because you saw what Sam Darnold did under center in a bridge year, and what he was able to do with Kirk Cousins.
Yep, and I agree, but man, their underperformance actually puts them, to me, under the Arizona Cardinals that I have at 23.
All right, I put the Cardinals at 24.
It's where I put the Vikings.
All right.
At 25, I have the Atlanta Falcons.
The Commanders here.
I can't schedule our records wise these last ones. It's all about records. I think let me try that again. I think the Vikings actually could fall even lower than 24. I think they are flirting with being in the bottom 5. But record wise, I got to give it over the Commanders and the Browns. Commanders are at 26 and the Browns are at 27.
All right. For me, with the Falcons, they just haven't been able to hold on to leads.
Okay.
They've had games where it's looking like they should be in a position to win the game, and then they allow teams to come back and overtake them. So it's how they're losing the games is why I have them a little bit lower.
Okay.
Why I have them at number 26. 27 for me is the Jets, because of maybe who they've beat, because of who they've beaten, and so when there is a head-to-head matchup, that's why I have them over the Browns.
Okay, and I don't fault you for that. I think that's probably a fairly accurate statement. But the Browns, I hate the Browns, but I think the Jets. I think this comes down to operationally, and I think the Jets are a worse run organization. Even though I hate what the Browns do, they're just trying to win. They're not doing a good job of it, but their ownership doesn't care about morals. They care about wins. And so, to me, that's kind of where we're at with that.
All right. Number 29, we've reached, we're getting close to that bottom 5. This is where I put the New York Giants. They have good victories. Their 2 wins are against teams that we have in that top 12, and the Chargers and the Eagles.
Yeah.
But those losses have just piled up.
Yep.
Because of how badly they play at the end of games and letting teams get back, keep letting teams stay in the games, and then they have those bad defenses. That's why their head coach is no longer there. It's why their defensive coordinator is gone. And I think I see potential with Jackson Dart if they can train him how to stay healthy.
And I think
still utilize him as a runner.
I personally think that the Jets are in in what we had been calling the Bears spiral of not having enough consistency at coaching and versus getting a good quarterback. And I think, again, I'm not saying Dart is a great quarterback, but he definitely has potential to be a good quarterback. And so it's hard when you're looking at that to see to get that. If that does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why I have it at 29 as well. At 30, I have the New Orleans Saints.
I put the Raiders here.
Okay. I have the Raiders at 31. They're both terrible teams.
I think for me with the Raiders, it was that early season victory over the number 1 team, or for you, the number 2 team, the Patriots.
Yeah.
So while the Saints have beaten the Giants and the Panthers, a division game which can go either way, and a bad team in the Giants. So.
Yep. No, I can agree with that. And then our worst team, is there even a question on this?
The Titans.
Yeah. worst record. Don't look like anybody has good direction on this.
Yeah, they're another team that fired their head coach already.
Yeah. Okay, with that, Rich, let's do any other football talk that you want to talk about. We'll do a quick update on the NASCAR lawsuits, and then we will plan on doing a little bit more of the investigating on the sports gambling stuff, and hopefully by next week we'll be ready to talk about that. That feel give you a week of time to look into it a little bit more. NASCAR lawsuit, we started having actual trial this week. The teams, they did a really good job of weeding out potentials with the questionnaire, and so they were able to pick a jury within an hour or before lunch, and they had done that, which a lot of people thought was going to be the hardest part of the trial, because you're in the heart of NASCAR country, and yet not as many people were big fans of it as I thought there would have been at the time. So they were able to get a jury selected, and then they were able to get the trial underway. Denny Hamlin has already been interviewed 2 days, 4 hours total, I want to say, 4 or 5 hours total. Did a great job. Had one-liners where he was able to give quips. There was a lot. They were asking him, so players or the drivers, you're allowed to contract a driver, and they can't go anywhere, and they get this and they get that, and blah blah blah. Why is that not why should you be allowed to do that with drivers, but we're not allowed to do that with NASCAR teams? And to which Denny Hamlin's reply was, well, we're not a monopoly, you are. Which is accurate. I mean, the more and more that you get into it, NASCAR owns IMSA. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, NASCAR owns essentially all stock, quote unquote, stock car racing in the U.S. And premium, like even that they own. So I think it's to me it seems pretty clear cut, open and shut. I don't know how it's going to end up pulling off with the lawsuit, but great one-liners. There were a whole bunch that went there. He got emotional talking about starting up and his dad, but again, his dad's in pretty poor health. His family's having, he just lost one of the worst ways to lose the championship we've seen in years. It's been rough. So yeah, easy to get there. Michael Jordan testified. I have not gotten to look into the transcripts or read any of the tweets that go along with it, but he testified. It's been great.
Wasn't there some sort of line, I think, around driver salaries where he was talking about in Hamlin's response to the corp about how some drivers are paid more than others, but well, not all drivers win as much as I do.
Right. So that was another one where somebody was like, well, you make this much and blah blah blah, and he's like, well, yeah, but yeah, essentially, like you said, not at most. He's making like 4 times the average salary, and when asked about it, he's like you said, his response was, well, not most drivers don't win like I do, so yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting to see. Probably another half week to a week of the case to continue. As they do, there's updates that you can find all over the place. We'll try to wrap our head around what's going on and then kind of figure that out at that point. So it seems like the biggest sticking points are permanent charters, and then from what it sounds like, the NASCAR is willing to give that up at this point. From what it sounds like, the biggest question is how much compensation should the teams get? The teams are saying, well, one, we need compensation for not being able to advertise it, not lost revenue from not having a charter this year, from not having charters this year. That's one. Two, they want their court costs done. And third, I don't remember what the other one. But it's mostly financial stuff. So that's kind of where they're at this point. Which NASCAR, I mean, if found, here's the thing: NASCAR may end up having to sell tracks. They may end up having to give permanent charters, stuff like that. And then, yeah, so it's going to be. But it's to NASCAR right now, it's a financial thing and what's going on there. So, any other questions that you have about it?
I don't.
Okay.
It's probably something I just need to maybe spend some more time looking into instead of
just listening to my updates.
Yeah, instead of just listening to you. Yeah.
Okay. So I do have another update for esports. I am officially a esports certified, National Esports Association certified head coach. So.
Ooh, nice.
I got that done. Okay. With that, Rich, do you have any shout outs? I mean, we both have a shout out together, I think.
Yeah. I do. Before I give the shout out, though, we could have some baseball talk next week, as it's the winter meetings next week, so we could have some hot stove stuff to talk about.
Yep.
As a lot of things could turn in from rumors to actual signings and trades going on.
Yep.
But that tends to happen when you get 32 teams all together in one place.
Owners and GMs getting together, you're going to have some talking and wheeling and dealing happening, so we'll have some talk that week. Rich, who is your shout out for the week?
Yeah, shout out my nephew Brady.
Oh, nice. This week. Happy birthday, Brady. And then friend of both of ours, Tasia Thimi, had her birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Tasia. We love you. And yeah, with that, Rich, they're watching on YouTube, but they think they would like to participate in the poll questions. Where should they do that?
Look it up on Facebook. You can find it on Mike and I's pages, as well as on fans of Balls and Sticks. Mike, if they want just the podcast audio version of our show, where can they find it?
You can find us anywhere where you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Plus, where else? Rich, they're listening to us in podcast land, but they want to jump in and watch and participate in the show live, which we do this live on the air. You can jump on and catch it every week. And where do they find it live every week, Rich?
Over on YouTube. So no matter where you're listening to us or consuming our content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep. With that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll the outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.